Right now, there are a whole bunch of layups that Democrats are just not taking. In schools across the country, Republicans are banning books that acknowledge racism and the existence of LGBTQ people. Their party leader, Donald Trump, is vocally pro-Vladimir Putin, calling his invasion of Ukraine, quote, genius. Despite their repeated attacks on Democrats for inflation, for high gas prices, Republicans have failed to offer a way to tackle those problems. And at the state level, they're also consumed with ridiculous culture war vendettas like banning transgender children from playing sports. Republicans have no plan for childcare or for wages or for the climate. Their agenda is not popular, according to the polls. And yet Democrats now trail them in the polls. So could it be because Democrats are not going on the attack enough? Congressman Ruben Gallego is a Democrat from Arizona, and he joins me now. Congressman, thanks for coming on the show tonight. You're a Marine Corps veteran. You know all about strategy. When it comes to the midterms, what is the Democratic strategy to win this fight and hold on to the House? Is there one? Because I don't see it.
Well, I think there needs to be one. I do agree that it has been slow to come, but you're correct. The best strategy is an offensive strategy because Republicans don't have any ideas. And this is nothing new. Republicans have always been running on divisiveness. That's the only way they win elections, by essentially getting people to get mad at each other or get people to get really dissuaded from even voting. And that's what happens in Republican wave years. It's not that more Republicans come out and vote. It's that Democrats are discouraged from coming out and vote because we end up not doing anything. And now we've had some great successes. American Rescue Plan. We basically, rescued the country from, poverty, from a recession. We've, rescued Ukraine out of the grips of an autocrat that the Republicans, just a couple months ago, were cheering on, by the way, including their leader, Donald Trump. We're moving on to the phase where we need to do two more things. Number one, protect American democracy in terms of what we're going to do with the January 6th committee. And number two, protect the American paycheck. And how do we do that? We get back to what we know works: child tax credit, child care subsidies, increase the minimum wage, protect the Affordable Health Care Act, the things that actually make people's lives easier and actually are counter-inflationary. But you have to go on the offense. We have to remind the voters that Republicans are a party of nothing, right? This is why they're screaming and trying to distract us with people's genitals instead of actually focusing on people's paychecks in their back pockets.
But the reality is, Congressman, you and I both know that the screaming often works. That's how they win elections. And Republicans always want to fight the culture wars. And Democrats always seem to want to run away from them. And I have a question for you. Why not fight the culture wars and win them on abortion, on book banning, on teaching history? The public is on your side.
Well, I certainly think that, our arguments are always going to be better because they're actually based on rationality instead of fear. If you look at the Republican platforms in general, my general thinking, what a party says a lot about you, and especially when it comes to how you say it. And I say it very clearly, it's, power whispers and weakness screams. The Republican Party has to scream because their platform is so weak. But we are right on this. We should not be abandoning, these poor transgendered kids that are being bullied when there's only 2 or 3 of them that are playing sports in some of these states. And at least you have some governors, Republican governors of Utah, that are showing some real courage. We should be standing up for women's right to choose and a family's right to choose, and not some government bureaucrat telling a woman when she should or should not be having kids. And certainly we know that book banning is not something that is popular in this country. And for a party that has always been talking about cancel culture, there's nothing bigger than canceling books. And especially some of the books that we know are very popular, they're starting getting canceled, like To Kill a Mockingbird and other books such as that. So, I think it's one, we push back on the cultural issues where we know we're correct. But let's remind people, at the end of the day, everything they're doing is to distract one thing. Republican parties have no plan to make your life better. If anything, all they want to do is distract you. So they could cut taxes for their big corporate buddies. And at the end of the day, cut regulations that end up not protecting you. That's what the Republican parties are going to end up giving should they get elected.
So, Congressman, you and I agree they don't have an economic plan. That's why they're screaming about culture wars issues. The problem is when they say stuff like Democrats are all pro-pedophile and so is the Supreme Court justice, and then you have Democrats quoted saying, including your colleague Hakeem Jeffries from Leadership, saying, look, we're not going to deal with that stuff. We're going to focus on kitchen table issues. It sounds nice, but then when you look at the kitchen table issues, you weren't able to lower prescription drug costs or improve childcare or raise the minimum wage to $15. Build Back Better died in the Senate. But I'm saying even on the kitchen table issues.
But the Republican Party, the kitchen table issues are a fight, but you also have to fight back. Look, the Republican Party, calling anybody a pedophile is just ridiculous. You have Matt Gaetz, who was paying for underage sex with with girls. You have a former Speaker of the House, Dennis Hastert, who is basically going to remove his photo from the Speaker guys because he did molest young boys.
Yes, he did.
This is the party of, if there's any party right now, they're the last party that should be talking about that, right? And lastly, the fact that they're just using that to attack our LGBT community. They don't, this is clearly homophobic. And instead of saying, they're coming out with their homophobia, they have to use cryptic words. You know what? At least be straight up with what you're doing. And I think it's ridiculous that they're using this to basically create more angst against our LGBT community and our youth, which have the highest suicide rate in this country. And that's just sad.
Well said, Congressman. I would like to say I think you're the first Democrat, maybe I missed it on TV, to bring up Dennis Hastert, a convicted child molester who was House Speaker for the Republican Party. It's amazing that Democrats don't talk more about him. Congressman Ruben Gallego, thank you for your time tonight. I appreciate it.
There's tons of more. So they're the last.
We need a whole hour with you to go through the list.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you.